What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our PCL Season 1 recap. Um, if you've been watching my PCL videos throughout the season, you'll know that we did reasonably okay in this league, which I can be happy about. Um, we'll talk a little bit about preseason predictions and stuff like that a little ways down the line. But for now, I wanted to start with the rosters page. So this is the rosters page for the doc for everyone. Um, we kind of, yeah, this is our roster here. We got the Mega Pidgeot, the Excadrill, Cresselia, Primarina, Salazzle, Miltank, Alolan Persian, Tyranitar, Salamence, Raichu, and Serperior. It was a very fast team. I believe it was, and we drafted the Rocky MZ, which was really unfortunate. I really wanted Ground EMZ, but Blade ended up sniping it from me in the draft. Um, it was a pretty cool team that I really enjoyed, actually. For some reason, Alolan Persian was tier 5, so that was a steal. Raichu, I felt, is a tier 5 quality for sure, but it's maybe one of the better ones. We ended up only with one tier 4, which was really good, because we grabbed a really low tier Mega that ended up being probably the MVP of the entire team. We'll get to that in a sec, though. Just covering off this season, we played with 12 coaches. We have the league owner, or one of the league owners, Magic and the Houston Dynamo, the other league owner, Derpy and the Oakland Chompers, Robin and the Brussels Burmy, Cade and the Santa Monica Manaphies, Starvin Pig and the Wellington Ho-Ohs, Mortal and the Lagrange Greninjas, who won one game so far all season. He could win another one, but the only game he's won so far is his losers bracket matchup. Dang it, and the OKC Thunduruses, who unfortunately, well, we'll get to that when we talk about playoffs. Blade and the Band of the Haluchas, Libraries and the Compton Clinks, TB and the Vancouver Melodics, who took over for Emerald Sands and the Parma Porygons, and Bob and the Little Rock Larvatars. So this is kind of the rosters page for everyone and how it played out, and yeah, that's just how it ended up going. Everyone had to draft their own Z Crystal, everyone had to draft with 400 free points in mind, and you had to fill all the tiers, so that's kind of where it went. So going into the draft, I wanted to run Hyper Offense. This was my third draft ever. We ended up grabbing a team that I was reasonably happy with, and it didn't have walls, and we kind of just like tried to break through teams with hyper offense, which is why our differential didn't end up very high. But our first pick overall was Excadrill. I was pretty happy with Excadrill, although I don't think I would ever take Excadrill ever again. It was a pretty good mon for the most part. I mean, it performed better at the end of the season. I didn't really know how to use it at the beginning, which is kind of the theme with most of my drafts when I try new stuff. Second round, we picked up Tyranitar, the other half of our Sand Core. We basically had the more offensive Sand Core. I could have picked up Hippowdon and had a very defensive, excuse me, defensive Sand Setter, but Tyranitar, as you'll see when we get a little bit later in the video, Tyranitar was a very offensive Pokemon for us, and it ended up doing a lot of work for the team, filling multiple roles each week and stuff like that. Third round, we picked up Primarina, maybe a little bit early for Primarina, but I really wanted to use Primarina after seeing Jed use it in the CCBL. Primarina is like really strong Pokemon, and I was super happy to grab it. It ended up being a really good Pokemon for us. Salazzle, I was really pleased with this season. The other half, or 2/3 of Jed's favorite core now on our team. Salazzle was pretty useful this season as well. Again, you'll notice that we're not seeing a lot of bulk here. Kind of the bulkiest thing going on is like Tyranitar, Excadrill maybe, Primarina on the special side. Then we picked Entei in round 5, which was really weird, and I didn't mean to do this. I just saw Entei and I was like, oh, I want to try Entei, but I had just picked Salazzle, so it didn't make sense at all to take 2 fire types in a row, and we ended up dropping Entei later on. Then we picked Ditto in round 6, another Pokemon we dropped. I thought Ditto would be really cool. It doesn't work on my team. It didn't work on the team. The team is Hyper Offense. People don't try and set up on Hyper Offense. They try and wall you, and Ditto's not good at copying walls. That's not its job. Its job is to copy a sweeper and then reverse sweep, right? Ditto would have fit better on something like Cade's team. Cade's team would have been so damn scary with Ditto. His original team. I think Magic's team could have really used Ditto because people tried to set up on him a lot. Yeah. We picked up Mega Pidgeot in round 7. Absolute steal. I loved this thing to death. I would 100% draft Mega Pidgeot again. Absolutely fantastic Pokemon. We picked up a Alolan Persian in round 8. I sniped this one from Blade, and it was a solid utility mon. I don't know if I'd ever draft it again. If I wanted Parting Shot, I've really been wanting to try Silvally, and so I would draft Silvally over this. We managed to grab Salamence in round 9, which I thought was really great that we could grab this thing in round 9. It didn't end up fitting the team, I don't think. The team ended up not having a lot of bulky support for it to chip teams down, and Salamence ended up playing the role of trying to chip things down for other things to sweep later for most of the time. It was a good Z user on my team, but it was limited by the fact that we drafted one Z Crystal. I liked the idea of Salamence with Parting Shot support, but it didn't end up actually playing out ever. I think I tried it once, and it just didn't end up playing out. Yeah. And second last pick, we picked Raichu. I loved Raichu. I would draft this again, and I did in DBA, and I love Raichu in DBA as well. It's a fantastic Pokemon, really good fast electric. Budget fast electric too. You don't necessarily need to have Jolteon to have power, so that's what I liked Raichu for. Again, Jolteon and Raichu were both electric immunities as well, which I found really solid. Jolteon's just a tad bit faster, but Raichu uses a Scarf better. So then we picked up Rocky MZ. It was the next best thing after Ground EMZ got drafted, and I wanted something that maybe Tyranitar could use a little bit better, and I wanted something that Salamence could use too. Dark EMZ could have been cool because we could have used like Z Parting Shot. I regret not drafting that, but I think someone else had taken it already. And last but not least, we picked up Superior, which I thought was a solid round 12 pick. I think Superior is very underrated in draft. Not a lot of people pick it, and it's a really strong mon with Contrary, Leaf Storm, Spam. So that was the draft. I was really happy with it, but obviously you can tell it was very offensive. The bulkiest thing that we had was Tyranitar. It's not saying much. So we ended up making some changes later, but not until a little ways into the season when I sort of stagnated. So just give you guys a sneak peek of the prep doc here, like I did in the UPBA one. I think this will probably be something that I do fairly consistently with the season recaps, is the prep doc. Except for Dream Team, because I didn't upload that, and that one is over now. Yeah, so this is the prep doc. If you didn't see my UPBA one, then you can see it now. There's a slight change to this one because I have the Z Crystal that the team's drafted up top here. It outlines the Pokemon everyone has. It's not great when I've already played the match, but if it's in green, that means they brought it to the match. If it's in yellow, that means I was expecting them to bring it. If it's in orange, that means I was not expecting them to bring it. Outlines their max speeds for a non-beneficial nature and a beneficial speed nature. Their base speeds, which also helps me figure that stuff out. Eventually, I just memorized it for the most part. Magic, you can see here, is a really slow team against my really fast team. So I outlined their priority. This is what I read off of when I do the team builders. This is a very poor example. I just have more boxes instead of extending them now. Outline their priority users, their hazard users, their hazard removal users. I didn't have the 4x weaknesses on this one. And then sometimes I'll outline to myself when I'm prepping what some of the fast things that could run a Scarf or like typically with Speed Boost would hit in speed, and then I try and outspeed that later. Like Pidgeot outspeeds Alolan Raichu. So that's how much speed invested. So now I know when I'm in game what I'm actually speed creeping. Excadrill outspeeds Scarf Alolan Raichu in Sand, right? So that's the fastest thing on his team. Scarf Alolan Raichu because it's base 110, which is the fastest thing on his team. Unless he agility'd with like Lucario or something, then we can't outspeed it anyways. So he's hitting 350, which hits 525 Scarf. So Excadrill was hitting 526 when I was in Sand. So that's kind of what I was talking about there. And then I have the date that the match has to occur, the week of the match, and when we scheduled for there as well. And I line them up in alphabetical order. Not alphabetical order, sorry. Chronological order on the side in my tabs on my second monitor. And then I know when I have to play each game. and I know how many games I have left for the week and which ones I still need to prep for. So obviously you can see there's 11 weeks of matches and then our one playoffs match. So yeah, that's kind of cool. That's just what the prep doc is, and now we'll get into the schedule and what happened this season. So here's the schedule, 11 weeks, which the last match still never happened. I don't know if it will between Derpy and Mortal. Mortal had a poor season. He lost every single match. Magic had a very poor season. He ended up going on a 5-game losing streak at the end. So did, well, Robin ended up losing 4 in a row. We had a pretty good season, actually. I'm not going to lie. We went 8-3. We managed to beat Magic. We had a forfeit win against, oh god, what's his name? Emerald. We lost to Cade. We lost to Libraries. And this is sort of where our season was changed a little bit after these first 4 matches. Then we managed to win, was that 6 out of 7 games to finish out the season, and I actually think I should have won this game, but Derpy prepped really well. I think this game and this game, the game against Cade and the game against Derpy could have very easily been wins, and the game against Libraries had a mechanic that I did not know how it worked, and I ended up learning that, so that was good information for later. Libraries, you can see, had not a fantastic season after beating us. He kind of went on a downward spiral, ended up finishing the season... Oh, what was that, 6-5? So not a very strong finish to the season. I don't know. It was kind of, this is just the schedule. Yeah, so let's talk about our matches, right? So we played Magic in week 1. I can probably show off the team page for that as well, actually. Yeah, we'll just go through the prep doc. So I've got the box score here. We played Magic in week 1. We ended up winning the game 5-0. Yeah, 5-0 right there. There's a replay and all this stuff. We have all of these internal things, but we ended up winning the match 5-0. Superior got 4 kills. Superior ended up sweeping, and Tyranitar got 2. Salazzle was my only Pokemon to die to Megazord Y, and everything else was dealt with from there. Oh, looks like Magic stopped doing this at a certain point. So maybe we won't go over the box scores. I'll just sort of talk about the result and then go through the prep doc and the teams. So this is what we brought. We brought Mega Pidgeot, Excadrill, Primarina, Salazzle, Tyranitar, and Superior. Superior just destroyed his team. He tried memeing on me week 1 with an Amnesia Iron Defense Baton past Mew with no attacks. Did nothing to my team because he tried passing it into something else. Like Sylveon or something? I can't remember. He ended up not being able to... Oh, he tried passing into Meloetta, and I killed the Meloetta with a Leaf Storm because Superior ended up just out-boosting it. We can see the team here. Oh, why did this refresh? This is going to be bad if you see my teams. There we go. This was the team we brought. AV Prim. I brought the wrong ability on Pidgeot, which I figured out later. Tailwind on Pidgeot, a lot of speed. Superior with leftovers ended up being huge for the team. Tyranitar was Rocky MZ this week, and I picked up like 2 Stealth Rock kills, I think. Excadrill was Lumberry, and it did nothing. And Salazzle was Poison Barb, which I thought was kind of cool, just to boost the Sludge Wave damage against things like the Mew. I mean, anything the Sludge Wave hit neutrally, which was everything except for the Lucario. So I thought Sludge Wave was really good this match, and it was with Disable. So kind of a neat match. Ended up winning pretty big, and I was fairly confident in my team at that point, except for the fact that my team was not bulky whatsoever. So this was weird EVing, by the way. I would never run AV Primarina with max special defense and only 4 modest in special attack now. I've learned a lot. I also wouldn't run an odd value of HP, but that's just me. Week 2, we were supposed to take on Emerald Sands, and I never released the team builder. I'm not going to upload the team builder because it's stupid to release a week 2, but we can go through the team here. He ended up forfeiting to me. I built the team, and I was expecting all these things, and not expecting these. I didn't think that they were good Pokemon at all. TB ended up taking up this team and absolutely revamping it completely. We brought a very cool team. Smooth Rock, Life Orbs, Choice Specs, sort of a 4-tax Superior that could have run AV, and this was the game that we were bringing Entei for with Band. I thought Banded Entei had a really solid matchup against this team, and it did, to be honest, outside of Chandelure. So that was that game. We ended up picking up the win there. Then we played Cade in week 3, and this was the one game we brought Ditto, because he had some sweepers, and I could have like copied something like a Tapu Koko. I was trying to copy Celesteela after some Beast Boost, I think. Mega Pidgeot, blah blah blah, Excadrill, which did absolutely nothing against his team in the sand. Cheetar, I brought Blizzard Tech, which was really cool. I actually got to... Oh, shit. I don't want to delete that. I actually got to use the Blizzard Tech, which was really neat, because he had Alolan Ninetales on his team still, so he tried to cancel out my Sand in the Weather War, and I ended up using Blizzard and doing a lot of damage to it, I think. Samantha the Salazzle put in a lot of work this game. Black Sludge was not the item I needed. I needed a Focus Sash, and I don't know. Raichu was really good with the Focus Sash. It was my lead with a Fake Out set. Pidgeot ended up doing a lot of work, and we almost won this game. If I hadn't misplayed, I could have switched into Excadrill at one point, I think, and won the game that way. And instead, I ended up just sacking it all. I love my Ditto nickname, Zoroark. I thought it was pretty hilarious. I'm just a funny guy. That was that. He ended up bringing all these things. You can see the Alolan Ninetales. Linoon almost swept me. Hitmonlee almost swept me. Mega Garchomp I was shocked to see, but I was super happy because I had the Blizzard Tech on Tyranitar. I might have killed it with that, actually. That would have been really funny. That actually would have been, like, really funny. Yeah. Week 4, we played Libraries and the Confident Clinks, and this match was just a disaster. We ended up losing 5-0. We didn't get 6-0'd. Thank God, because he actually ended up sacking Registeel to my Primarina. But I was on the back foot completely this entire time. I brought double Scarfers against him. Rockham's Immense. I thought this was going to be a really cool game for Parting Shot and Immense setup. But Parting Shot doesn't work on Clear Body. I didn't know that. It doesn't say that in the description. It just says lowers user switches. It doesn't say shit about it failing. Oh, I was so mad about that. I was really mad about that. I'm still salty about that game, to be honest with you. And yeah, I was really mad. My team needed some changes, okay? At that point, I knew my team needed some changes because I just didn't have switch-ins to things like Kyurem Black, Mega Diancie, Reuniclus, even Landorus. Like, I just didn't have switch-ins to those mons. Anything offensive, I did not have a switch-in for. My whole strategy basically revolved around me having the speed advantage always. Excuse me, and then getting momentum. That was kind of what my strategy revolved around, is wall breaking and momentum, and I needed a change. So I ended up dropping Ditto for Miltank and Entei for Cresselia, which boosted my team up a lot. I brought Cresselia the next week against Mortal, and it helped out quite a bit. I liked using Cresselia a lot. I did not necessarily like bringing Miltank a lot. Yeah, so we'll see my team against Mortal here. Brought Cresselia. Cresselia dominated Mortal's team. It was not even close. This match was just a joke. He let his Ferrothorn die to my Mega Pidgeot Heat Wave turn 1. I brought 2 Life Orb attackers, which was really weird, but Sand turned out to be decent. He ended up killing my Excadrill pretty early. Mortal's team didn't have a good matchup against anything this season, and that's sort of just what happened on that side of things. Week 6, we played Bob and Little Rock Larvatars. This was a game that got way closer than it should have. I ended up not bringing my Wallace this week, which was maybe a mistake. I prepped really hard for Mega Scizor, I think, and it didn't even come. Yeah, I prepped really hard for Mega Scizor and it didn't come. We brought a lot of cool stuff, and we ended up winning the game 1-0 because Excadrill was scarfed at the end and picked up some kills. Jirachi was scarfed too, but Fire Punch wasn't doing enough to me. So Excadrill ended up picking off his team at the end. Pretty good game. Excuse me. I don't know why I brought Yachi Berry on Salamence. That makes no sense against the team he brought. Literally no sense. Oh well. Week 7 we played Derpy, and he brought Heatproof Bronzong, which is what ended up winning him the game. I thought I was in a really good position with Salazzle left against Bronzong at the end, especially with an Expert Belt Salazzle, because Flamethrower should have just demolished that thing. But instead, he brought Heatproof, even though I've got an Excadrill on my team. It was great prep for the Pidgeot and the Salazzle, but I was like, what? Like, huh? His Snorlax gave me a ton of problems. I was really pissed about that. I hate that stupid Pokemon. Snorlax is just stupid, and I hate it with a passion. If I could ban it, like, reasonably, then I would, anywhere. Fun game, though. All in all, a game that ended up probably not mattering much in the standings in the grand scheme of things, but fun game nonetheless. Then we played Dang It and the OKC Thunduruses. We had another big win this week. We won 5-0. We demolished his stall team with our wall breakers. Mega Pidgeot tore his team a new asshole. Mega Pidgeot absolutely destroyed it. Excadrill, I think, did something. I'm not entirely sure. I think Tyranitar got a few kills. Banded Tyranitar got a few kills. Yachiberry Ments might have done something at some point. I don't remember what exactly happened, but I just remember Hurricanes. Hurricanes demolishing his team. Primarina demolished his team too. He didn't even bring the talk specs that I had prepped so hard for. His stall team just did nothing. And that's exactly how his team ended up at the end. Week 9, we played Blade, or we were supposed to play Blade, but played Forfeit. We did build a team, though. Again, I didn't upload the team builder, I'm not going to, but we were bringing both of our walls this week to deal with his rain a little bit. And I had the weather war going on here with Excadrill Tyranitar and Raichu to abuse his rain with Thunder. That's kind of what was going on there. We didn't bring Miltank too many times this season, but that's what it was there for. Week 10, we played we played Robin and the Brussels Burmy. I brought a really nifty screen Primarina set. I think Salamence did work this game. I can't remember. Mega Pidgeot probably did a lot because Mega Pidgeot loves to do a lot. I love Mega Pidgeot and it loves to do a lot for me. I remember Buzzwole being a problem and Mega Pidgeot kind of dealt with that. He didn't bring the Blade, which was a horrific thing for my team to deal with because I don't have any knockoff users. Because we did play this league in Sun and Moon, so Alolan Persian didn't have knockoff. I think Superior gets it, but that was that. And then week 11 we played Starvin and the Wellington Ho-Ohs. It was kind of a meme match. I wanted to win really badly because it could have clinched me for playoffs, which it did. I ended up winning the game 1-0 with Cresselia stalling out his Greninja at the end. His team's strong, and it's very balanced, but it struggled against Cresselia really hard, and despite the fact that I couldn't hit the Greninja with Psychic, and Mono Moonblast would have been the play, his team couldn't break through Cresselia. Honestly, Choice Spec Salamence did so much work. I finally realized that I can't lock Salamence into just a Dragon Dance sweeping set every single week. It was ridiculous, and so I ended up just bringing specs and trying to smash some things with Dracos and Fire Blast, and it did a lot. It took Skarmory down to sturdy turn 1 with Fire Blast. I ended up missing one, but I ended up taking out the Skarmory eventually, and put Cresselia in a place where it could stall out the Greninja. Then last but not least, we played Cade in the playoffs just tonight actually, and we suffered a very disappointing loss. My team was very poor. I don't know. I didn't prep well, and Cade prepped really well. This was kind of what I had going on here. I didn't expect Delmise, I didn't expect the Piloswine, but he brought it. I thought Mega Houndoom had to come to break through Cresselia, and he just didn't bring it. So, the team he brought actually lost to Cresselia, and that was really ballsy on his part, especially because he didn't bring Delmise either. His 2 ways to kill Cresselia, he didn't bring, and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. Anyways, that was the prep doc and sort of our season with the teams and stuff. We'll talk about the transactions now. So, we dropped Ditto, which did nothing, came to 1 game, for Miltank, which came to a lot more. It was a good physical wall for my team. I loved that it was a physical wall because I didn't have a wall before. Good value added in Tier 4 because it gave me another Stealth Rocker to take the burden off of Tyranitar and Excadrill potentially. It ended up not filling that role as much, but it was also a Cleric for my team, which I enjoyed. The fact that I could Heal Bell was kind of nifty. It gave me more building options in general, which I enjoyed, and reliable recovery on a Mon was something that I only had in Pidgeot before in Roost, so I was quite happy to have that going on. We ended up dropping Entei for Cresselia, which was fine because I didn't need another fire type of Salazzle on the team, and Cresselia filled the role of a physical wall and a special wall as well. Cresselia did a lot for the team. It really balanced out my playstyle a little bit. The only problem I had with it is that Sand interfered with Moonlight for reliable recovery, and I never actually got to click Lunar Dance as a Cleric, but the Combine set was really strong, and that was kind of that. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened. Let's go through the standings page real quick. So we ended up finishing 2nd in the league, or 3rd in the league, sorry, behind Cade. Well, we never sorted this because week 11 never finished, but we were 1 differential point behind Cade and 8-3, 1 win behind Starvin, who looked like he was going to have an unstoppable season, and then he suffered 2 losses near the end there. We ended up finishing top of the Ultra Sun Conference and getting a bye into the 2nd round of the playoffs, which we'll go through now. Here's the losers bracket, not decided yet. This match is yet to happen before the losers bracket finals. Bob beat TB because TB forfeit. So it'll be Bob versus the winner of Blade versus Mortal. In the winners bracket, we got our bye, and unfortunately, Cade won. Unfortunately for us, Cade won. He's a good friend, but we had a much better matchup against Dang It, and I was hoping Dang It could stall. And Libraries lost to Derpy, which I was happy about because I had an easier time with Derpy if I ended up making it to the finals. I really thought that I was going to be in this spot for some reason when I was thinking about it, and I wasn't in that conference at all. So we ended up losing to Cade, so Cade's waiting on the winner of Derpy versus Starvin for the finals. I'm not going to talk about the finals because I don't really care. Well, I do care. I care about the winner of the season, but I don't care for the purposes of this video. It doesn't matter. So let's talk about move kills and stuff like that, because I think that's fun. The most killing move was Earthquake. Knockoff actually came very, very close. Excuse me. Toxic, not surprised with the stall team, and a lot of people ran Toxic this season to break through things like Suicune and, I don't know. Toxic got 19 kills. It should be in third, but again, I didn't sort this yet. Knockoff got a lot more kills than I thought it was going to, and Earthquake did really well. I believe Weavile ended the season as the kill leader, but again, it wasn't sorted. So TB really brought that team back from the grave to bring Weavile from not even getting any kills or something like that up to 14. Our kill leader was Tyranitar that went 10-3 with a 7 differential. Really strong performance by Tyranitar. I would definitely draft Tyranitar again. Maybe not Sand. I actually hated using Excadrill like kind of with a passion. You'll notice we have our next one is Superior at 4-2. We brought Superior to not very many matches, and all 4 of those kills were from game 1, I think. Superior filled a very different role on the team, though. It was kind of a breaker for the most part, and bulky grass in some matchups. Mega Pidgeot is our next one, and just because it's 6-2 doesn't really show what it did for the team. Mega Pidgeot is first and foremost a wall breaker. And it did its job, to be honest. The fact that it died twice and I brought it to almost every single match, if not every single match. No, I didn't bring it here. Okay, we'll go from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well it came to 6 out of 11 matches, so maybe not as much as I thought it would. But I didn't bring it to matches where I thought it was going to be threatened. So that's kind of there. The fact that it came to 6 matches and got 6 kills, though, I mean, a kill a game is pretty solid. Filled the role of a wall breaker, and I will definitely draft this thing again in the future if I can. Primarina 5-5 again doesn't really show what it was forced into a special wall role most of the season, and that doesn't really show its role on the team. I felt that it had a good role on the team. Excadrill finished the season 7-6. If we're not including the playoffs matches, because I don't bother doing stats for playoff matches, doesn't really matter because differential doesn't matter. Excadrill 7-6. I hated using this thing. It died almost every single time that it came. Cresselia 2-1. Again, doesn't show the role that it played this season. Salazzle 4-5. I brought Salazzle quite a bit, and it's not surprising that it dies a lot because Earthquake is a very common move, and it's 4 times weak to that. Then we had Miltank, which died once. And Alolan Persian, which came and went 1-2. I think it killed the Snorlax, and that was it. The entire season. Salamence went 4-5 and ended -1. It picked up a lot of kills at the end of the season, I think. Didn't really do much for me. I wasn't thrilled. Raichu ended up 0-2. Again, doesn't tell the whole story about Raichu. I felt it was a really good pivot on my team. And I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. So you'll find Ditto in here somewhere, probably with 1 death somewhere. And Entei in here with absolutely nothing going for it. There it is, Entei, which Libraries ended up picking up at the end of the season, but we had earlier. And Ditto, which is, I'm not going to try and bother finding Ditto, am I? Am I really going to be scrolling like this? There it is, Ditto, free agent. Yeah, interesting, I don't know, interesting season for the team. Like I said before, I would definitely draft Mega Pidgeot again. 100% would draft Mega Pidgeot again. I would not draft Excadrill again by any means. I would draft Cresselia, Primarina, Salazzle again. Maybe not Miltank. I had a hard time running Alolan Persian with this team, but I think it can work, especially with my playstyle on some other teams. Tyranitar was fantastic. Salamence, I would love to give another try. Raichu was great. Superior was great. And Rocky MZ we brought a few times, but I think I only actually ended up using it a couple. hitting something that resisted Z Stone Edge or something with a Z Stone Edge, and that was like maybe the one time that I got the actual move off. It wasn't that effective. Now, I was part of the PR team for the league with Magic and Derpy, and we did post-draft PRs, which I think is on here. Yeah, here it is, PR predict. We were predicted to finish 10th, and we ended up tied for 3rd. So I can be happy with that. I predicted myself that I would do bad because I was brand new to draft format when this happened. I've learned a lot since the start of the season, and I was really happy with that. Excuse me. I was happy to finish where I did, and I actually thought that I had some pretty good games, to be honest. We didn't necessarily play the hardest opponents in this league, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but the fact that we managed to beat the #1 team in the league sort of gave me confidence, and we got really close to actually beating Cade and Derpy, but we ended up picking a lot on kind of the lower half of the teams here. We beat Mortal, obviously, we beat Magic, we beat Tort, we beat Bob, technically we beat Blade, we beat Dang It, and we ended up beating TB and Emerald's team, and then Starvin was the only one above us that we beat. I predicted that Cade is going to come in first, so I'm cheering for him to finish first. I also predicted Manaphy would have the best differential, ended up not being the case. Magic got Manaphy from a trade, and I predicted this based on it being on Cade's team. I didn't do very much on his team. I also predicted that Earthquake would have the most kills, which it did, so I'm not surprised there. Blade's team at the beginning was really good, and he ended up finishing in the losers bracket, unfortunately for him. He had quite the unfortunate season. Yeah, not much more to talk about there. We had Cade in 5th, and his team reflected that. He didn't draft super well in this league like he has in others, and so that was there. Decent for Mortal. Well, he finished last with no wins until the playoffs. Anyways, that's kind of all I really wanted to talk about. I didn't really have anything more than that I wanted to touch on. Tyranitar finished in the top 10 of kills, which is kind of cool. It was a season. I'm not as jovial about it as I was with the UPPA, and I don't have any drama to talk about like I did with the UPPA. It was just a well-run league overall. We had some scheduling problems at the end there, and at the beginning there was a lot of stuff talking about Magic's EV and EVMZ and all that garbage. It was cool that we had 2 playoff brackets so that there was no like off-season for people, but maybe I'll talk about why I'm not returning. So I'm not returning to Season 2, not because I didn't enjoy my time in the league. I absolutely did enjoy my time in the league. In fact, I don't think that I actually should have been 8-3 by any means. I think the team I drafted was terrible, which is why I got ranked in 10th. Yeah, there's a reason I was ranked 10th with my hyper offense team, but I think I proved a lot of people wrong. And I definitely set a precedent for myself that maybe is a little bit dangerous in the future. At this moment, I'm trying to stick with my pattern of making playoffs in every league that I'm in so far. The only one that hasn't happened in was Dream Team, and that ended up just dying, so I don't know what to say about that. I made playoffs in PCL, I made playoffs in UPBA, I made playoffs in LET, that's still going on right now. If you haven't seen those videos, that's because we're a little bit behind on uploading the content, and I don't want to upload my team builders before the battle videos are up for those. Not that it matters anyways, because the team builders have nothing to do with the teams that are still left in the playoffs anyways. What else? I don't know anymore. We're clinched for playoffs in D&D, so that's there too. It's 4 leagues. I think there's another one that I made. Oh yeah, SAPL Season 3, I made playoffs, and that one's done. So, yeah, I can say with confidence that that is a pattern that will continue, hopefully. And that's kind of just what I want to talk about. Overall, the team was really fun, or the team was very fun to play with, actually. Hyper Offense was really interesting. It was a way different playstyle than I'm used to. I usually like to have some dedicated walls on the team as well. Magic was a good owner as well. I appreciate everything that he does for the league, and I started off taking on too much of a role on the dock than I needed to. It was very stressful with other docs to run as well, so I ended up focusing mostly on the move kills and kill leaders, which I can't update because there's still a match that needs to be fucking played for week 11. So thanks, Mortal. I don't think that's Mortal's fault. I think the fact that they're... Shit. There we go. The fact that it's really hard to schedule with Derpy these days probably doesn't help with that. Yeah, so... I'm like losing my train of thought here. I'm not leaving because of any people in general, and I'm not leaving because of management or anything like that. I'm leaving because I need to start cutting back on leagues. We're in the middle of February now. I only have 2 months left of school. It's getting really busy with my university work at the moment, and I have my TA position on top of that, where that's getting busy as well because midterms are happening. I also felt that if I was to continue in this league, I would have to keep uploading as a precedent now that I've been uploading for it previously, and I wasn't really prepared to upload anymore. I actually think that I need to cut back on my uploads a lot, so that was kind of the plan. That's part of the reason why I'm not coming back, and I need to cut back on leagues. That's the main thing, and I felt that the PCL sort of lost some spunk at the end for me. I didn't find it as enjoyable, especially in playoffs. It was nice to get the bye. It was weird to not have a league going for an entire week for me. It was really nice to have the bye because it felt that I'd proved to myself that I was good enough to get this bye over all these other people. But it was weird to have the week off. It was just weird to have the week off. And then when I built, I got absolutely the shittiest opponent that I could have. Out of all of the people left in playoffs in the winners bracket, I got the worst matchup possible. All the other teams I had a good matchup against, and I just ended up getting a terrible matchup. I was really disappointed in that, and I wasn't confident in prep, and I wasn't confident playing the game, and it showed. I didn't come out very well, and that motivated me even less. Now, granted, I had already announced that I wasn't coming back ahead of the semifinals match, so it doesn't play in at all, but it plays into my own decision. If I was kind of rethinking it in my mind, I wasn't rethinking it anymore. We went through some coach transitions, and that was that. I liked the idea initially of drafting the Z Crystal at the end. I didn't like it very much. I found that it limited my team too much because I was trying to fit Rocky MZ on teams every week, and some weeks I just couldn't, and I felt like it had a good matchup, but I just needed a different item on a mon. Like, having Smooth Rock on Tyranitar was just so much more useful than having Rocky MZ most matchups, so yeah. I also really hated using Excadrill, and I sort of dreaded every time I was building, because I'm like, well, Excadrill is like powerful, and they're going to have to prep for it, but I hate prepping with Excadrill, and I hate using Excadrill, so that was also part of it. Anyways, I don't want to get too much in depth because I'm still a little bit sad from losing that match. No hate to anybody, honestly. This is like completely different from maybe what I've previously talked about, but no hate to anybody. I loved all the people in the league for the most part, and yeah, that's it from me. So I'm Ian, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, and this is the end of the PCL for me.